get that rolling. So as I do every single week, anybody have anything fun they'd like to share? Any wins, some cool action, something that you've done that you'd like to share with everybody?
I can jump in.
Let's hear it, John.
We had a organic buyer lead come through for Lexington that we hadn't really been pushing other than the blogs. So that's the second largest of our markets. So that's kind of cool. So now we contacted him really quick, obviously within a few hours, and got another buyer and some more stuff to look for in that area.
They came in from the blog?
Well, I haven't checked exactly. I know it came in through the website, but I can go look because we do have HubSpot kicked in now. So
awesome. Nice little organic lead coming in. Love it.
Yep.
Cool. Anybody else got something? Something they'd like to share, some action they've taken, something?
Well, Marie and I got our trifold done, and she got the webpage updated with the tenant buyer program. So
there we go.
It was busy. I'm assuming she's going to get on the call. She's probably picking up her kids, so I'll voice that for her.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
I wrote my blog.
What's that, Sophia?
I wrote my blog.
You wrote your blog?
Yeah, I just got to send it in.
What was it on? What topic?
Foreclosure FAQs.
Nice. Cool. Anybody else? Anything?
I was able to erase 1, 2, 3 different things from the board that I wrote down from last week's meeting. The biggest one was going through 3 blogs like Roger had suggested, and just trying to find ways to just, whether it's a keyword or just somehow spruce it up, and then also add video to that. And so I remember this program, it's called Lumen 5, LUMEN, Lumen 5, and basically for free, what you can do is just like copy and paste your URL to your blog into the platform, and then it has AI software that'll pull out what it believes is the 10 most valuable sentences in the blog, and it'll create like a video blog for you. And it was pretty legit. Like, I didn't spend a lot of time modifying it, probably like 30 minutes, just making sure that it was like grammatically correct and flowed. And then I had this it looks like a high, it just looks like something that's highly produced, I guess, a lot of production behind it, and I was able to throw that up there. So that was pretty sweet.
Awesome. I also saw your video on the kind of the thank you page, right? We'll call it the thank you page, but
oh yeah. I did the video on the thank you page. Yeah, that was cool.
a good job with that as well. So
thank you.
Anybody else? Anything?
Oh, okay, I can share. Reason why I haven't been attending lately is because we have one going in escrow, we have 3 rehab, and we have 2 under contract, and all an MLS. So I always miss that whenever you guys do the call, but today we're waiting on auction at the courthouse. So that's where we're at right now, trying to win an auction here. So that's what been keeping us busy, and thanks to you keeping our website active, and to Coach JP keeping our social media active. We're getting leads, but organic leads, but they're not really, since the forbearance is still on in Honolulu, they're not really willing to close yet. So that's where we're at.
Well, at least you're at the courthouse for a good reason, not the courthouse for a bad reason.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what keeping us busy.
Awesome. Well, before we get diving into too much, I'm going to kind of kick it over to Roger and see if there's anything he'd like to share or say to everybody first before we slide into some topics here.
The only thing is that there was I mean, through JP's kind of taking action, gave me a lot of ideas. I'm really happy to hear. Sophia, looking forward to that blog getting sent over. So good job on that. But there's some things I'm not going to get into it right now. We'll probably do it next. But some things I kind of want to share that people can look at for their website. I'm always kind of learning from you guys as well. So there was a lot that JP and I kind of went back and forth on some questions that he had. Great questions. And I think it's going to be really important to share that part, just to kind of follow up some things from last week. And they're small wins, guys. So there was something that I kind of took away. It's like what I'm trying to do, or Sean and I trying to do, is for this call, so you guys can get value, and it's long-term, right? Long-term value, little by little, just moving the needle just a little bit. There's a number of things that we can kind of be doing together, helping each other out, just to kind of, keep that needle moving for you guys. For those of you that are kind of staying busy, things are happening. You're going to be glad you do some of these small things now, because later maybe kind of it cools down on another piece of your marketing. This is when the SEO and the website kind of kicks in, right? So it's just kind of having everything primed up and ready to go. And for us, obviously, is the website and SEO portion of things. So these are all small wins, easy things to do, but looking forward to sharing some of these things.
On that note, quick question. How many of you guys, you can kind of raise your hand since everybody's on video, how many of you guys are struggling to figure out kind of styles of content? I know Roger's gone over a number of ways of like finding words and key phrases and that kind of stuff, but how many of you guys are struggling to think of styles of content to be creating, or kind of like topic ideas around it?
I would.
Only Chris? All right, cool. Chris, you and I can connect after. And oh yeah, see, now Sophia's got her hand up, and Liz. And I want you guys to write these down. I found this, I was cleaning up some stuff here in the office, and I found this old brainstorm sheet that I had, and I pulled it out for today. It's kind of just a bonus thing. It had nothing to do with the topics for today, but I've got 5 of them here that are kind of like a quick go-to if you're struggling for it. Number 1 is call out mistakes that you see people making. So everybody on here is real estate right now. There's a lot of mistakes that sellers are making when in the process of trying to put their home up for sale, or there's mistakes that agents are maybe making, or there's mistakes that their sellers making with a contractor trying to renovate prior to sell, right? Think of those different mistakes that are out there. Now, obviously, we're not just going to point out the mistake. I'm going to talk about kind of a structure on this here in a quick second on it, but think of the mistake, then kind of go through some of the stuff Roger's taught you guys in the past on how do I put some key words around that in there, or what would be some key phrases that make sense to the mistake. And then I'm going to teach you a quick kind of format to this, okay? The other one that I have written down here was quick tips. Quick tips also make really, really good content. And you can do this in a number of ways. These could be videos, these could be blogs. There's a number of different ways that you can deliver kind of a quick tip kind of piece. Honestly, quick tips in the real estate space, great TikTok content. You guys are out at a rehab or out at a project and you're looking at something that's like really easy, 30-second, 1 minute, 1.5 minute type length content. That'd be great for something like TikTok or IG Reels, those type of things. The other one that I have here is, and I'm trying to read my own writing on this, but share your lessons of your journey. This one isn't one that you're going to go, I don't do this one a ton, but sharing a kind of your journey in the process of building the content. I know some of you guys have, especially in the real estate side, some of you guys have actually maybe experienced the same thing that a seller's going through, right? I know a little bit about Roger previous to 2012, right? And we all know what happened with the market then. He's got some stories and a journey that he went through that if he was actively doing real estate, that kind of content can help bring some alignment, right? And bring some instant trust because, hey, I've been there, I've dealt with it, I've done it, and here's how, maybe I came through the other side of it, okay? Fourth one, a transformation story. I pretty much guarantee if any of you guys have ever dealt with a client, in this case, a seller or maybe a lender, and you've helped get them through something where they've gone from here to here, and there's been a transformation in that piece. When I think of transformation story, we did a house. This was probably back in 2014, 15. It was the third oldest home in our town. It was built in 1901, and it was 4 generations deep in ownership, meaning the like great grandfather or whatever it was the one that actually built the house. And through us buying it and renovating it and bringing it back to market, that seller kind of stayed with us through that process. They kept coming by, seeing it, and there was this whole transformation. So we ended up doing a huge, like a TV series with our Home Builders Association and the Home Builders, the HBA of it, and the local news. And that was a big credibility piece for our business because it wasn't about the buying and selling of the house or the price that it switched to or what we did to the home on it. It was this transformation story of taking a 1901 home and renovating it to the standards of today, yet still keeping a lot of that structure on it. If I could go back now and internet marketing was as popular then as it is now, that'd be a great story to produce a bunch of content around on it. And then the fifth one, this is one of my favorite ones to do: bust myth and misconceptions. Bust the myths and misconceptions out there. There's a lot of stuff in the real estate space people running around yapping about that just one is not even true or it's a myth. And nobody's ever really brought another side of it, so everybody just kind of believes it. Myths and misconceptions, if you can bust those, that's also easy content to produce around. Now, quick format. And again, I'm just data dumping this on you guys because I happened to see it and it was like, this is perfect to help you guys out with some stuff. Format that you can use around this content to help a little bit. Obviously, take some of the stuff Roger's taught in the past, filter it into this as well. But you want to start the piece with the problem. What is the problem or the pain point or the kind of the before? Think of it that way. So if I'm busting some myths and misconceptions, what's the myth? What's the misconception? That's the problem. Then you want to get into some solutions or the proper way, or if it's a quick tip, right? What's the problem? And then what is some ways to be better? Or do it differently. And ideally, you'd like to have 1, 2, maybe 3 pieces of that solution in there. You're not, what do I mean by that? You shouldn't be the sole solution, right? Selling to a real estate agent, the problem is you lose out on this money. How do you fix it? You sell to me and you keep it all. It just does it. Yes, that's a solution, but there's other things that they could do to also help them out that are possible solutions. We understand what I'm saying there? And then you finally end it with whatever that call to action is, whether that's book a call with you, reach out to you, click to go to somewhere else, check out something more, right? Whatever that call to, whatever is the next step that you want to take them in. Okay, and that's just kind of a rough framework. Obviously, you can blend that to fit you. But any questions on that stuff really quick? Just want to throw it out as a bonus for you guys. But any questions on any of that piece right there? No? Go ahead, Segal. I see you waving.
I don't understand number 5. Probably
Myths.
because I don't know what it means. in
Myths and
English.
misconceptions.
Yeah,
Myths.
what are,
Myths are, have you ever watched the show Mythbusters?
no.
So myths are things that people claim are true, or just over the years have been like, I'm drawing a mind blank here. Somebody give me a quick myth that you know of. Myth, easy one. You have to wait 30 minutes after you eat before you can go swimming or you'll cramp. Growing up as a kid, my parents used to say that all the time. We'd eat. Some of you are parents, and you probably said the same thing. If your kid eats, you got to sit and wait 30 minutes before you can get back in that pool, or you're going to cramp and get yourself sick. There really is no truth to that. That's just some myth that got created and stirred up somewhere. And through the lifetime, people just accepted it as true without really knowing any difference. Another myth would be if it's raining and you run, you won't get as wet. I watched the Mythbusters actually bust that one. You actually get more wet by running than if you would just walk. So think of things that aren't true in your space that everybody just kind of assumes. A myth in real estate: to sell your house, you have to list with an agent. That's a myth. There's no truth to that. But a lot of people, that is the perceived notion that they believe, that they have to list with a real estate agent or a licensed real estate professional. Lending in real estate, there's a myth that you have to be a bank to lend on a home, that you can't be a person and lend. Another myth, right? And misconceptions they're not lies, but people are just not understanding all of it. It's a misconception. They're not quite educated on the full truth, right? Or the full process, or the full procedure behind it. That help you out, Segal?
Yeah, thank you so much. Really helped out.
Anybody else? Questions? Okay, do me a favor, go to the chat box. And of these 5 that I just gave you, what's one of them and your topic, or just put like, what's one of these that you could do this week and a topic around it? Throw it in the chat. What's one of these? Maybe it's a mistake you're going to point out. Maybe it's a quick tip that you're going to give. And what's that tip? What's the mistake that you might call out? Maybe it's a lesson that you've learned, or a piece of your journey. And what is that? Liz says, quick tip on how to get your home ready to sell. What's most important? That's a good one. Give it a minute for you guys to get those in. Okay, somebody other than Liz. Star student.
I like to write, but I haven't been writing enough, that is for sure.
Sophia, here we go. This is a good one. Calling out mistake. Realtor saying you don't need to do anything to your home in this market to sell. That's a good one. I would modify that a little bit, and instead of saying that you don't need anything, you don't need to do anything to your home in this market to sell. Insert, instead of this market, insert your actual town name or city name. In the blank market, in the Los Angeles market, right? In the Baltimore market. So helping people with closure as an investor, win-win to both sides. So you're going to do something around helping them understand that investors are not there to steal their home. I would encourage you to do the same thing, add it more location-based on that. Chris says, myth on all investors are not legitimate businesses and take people's money and run. That's a good one too. Give it a second, see if anybody else throws something in. John May, let's see, quick tip. houses we buy vacant, boarded up, overgrown. Be better if you can actually be in front of some of those style houses. Go find some. Okay, Roger, anything you want to add on top of those that I just said there?
No, you pretty much nailed it. That's one of the topics that I'm going to probably go over a little bit, and appending the geolocation. So that was a good one. Good tip.
Okay, so actually on that note, why don't you go ahead and kind of enhance that a little bit on it? Because obviously you guys are on the right track with it, with these pieces here, but really bringing it geo-local, right? Geo-specific to your area, because it's one thing to just make content, just to blab, but it's another thing to make content where it's going to actually ping and gain us some traffic.
Right. All right. So you good, Sean, for me to take? All right, cool. All right, guys. So what I have here is actually pretty exciting. There's some stuff that happened, JP, that is looking good. I looked up a couple things. So I'm going to use JP's. The reason I'm using his, because it's only been a couple days since he applied some of these things, and already we're seeing a little bit of the needle move. So as Sean was going through these topics and you guys are sharing, keep in mind, you might not even have to go and create anything new. You might have something, some of you do, but some of you might already have some content that you can optimize that already lives in your website. So take a look at that. What you have to make a decision is, what market am I in? What kind of situations do I want to tackle first? One of the major kind of tips that I gave JP early on in the week when he started asking me some questions about doing some of these tasks was, don't try to take on everything that you do right now, because you have to create a process that makes sense for you, right? Because there's an entire list. I can go on and on. There's a big list. What you have to do is, what can you handle, right? It's just like social media. It would be great to go and amplify your brand on all social media platforms, but that's not realistic unless you have an entire team helping you, right? So you have to make a decision. How much is your bandwidth? How much can you handle to be productive? And in this case, I think I have a good list of things that all of you guys can probably do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be sharing my screen a little bit. I'm going to be showing a couple of the results. And then if there's any questions, definitely stop me and we can go through this. But this is literally step-by-step items here that you guys can take right now. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second. All right, guys, just give me a thumbs up. You guys can see my screen. I'm currently on Anchored Homes website. All right, and let me just move a couple things around so I can see my screen. All right, so right now we're going to use this. This one was a great example. This is, and the reason I say it's a great example, because look at the year. This was posted in 2020. Okay, so this is not a new blog that JP put up just recently. This is something that's existed on his site. He's now looking, he's done a really good job on city pages, and everything's doing pretty well on the website. And now he's trying to really kind of narrow down kind of like what his ideal client is and the situations, right? And there's a number of things that we're bringing back the funnel back to the selling page, which are the city pages, as well, utilizing these blogs. All right, so this one was kind of hanging out in his archives as blogs. He decided he wants to go after these fire damaged homes. So we looked at this one. He first kind of, you got to see what's on there first. You have an image, you have some content. He did not have a video on here. This is something that he actually added this past week. And then one of the things also I'm going to point out here, I'm not sure if this was already here, JP, or not, but I'm going to point it out for everybody. You should have what's called an interlinking strategy, or, what I mean by that is this right here, this word right here is a hyperlink, and it hyperlinks to another page that lives within your website. In this case, this is hyperlinking to a city page, okay? And very particular, he's trying to, he's going into a new market in Titusville, I believe that's how you say it, Titusville, Florida. So this is redirecting to the Titusville, Florida city page, okay? Even though we're talking about homes that have fire damage, this is kind of a topic he wants ranking within Titusville, Florida. But then when someone gets here, reads through here, they'll be able to kind of find a lot of good information and a video to look at. And then eventually as they're reading, this is going to be hyperlinked over. Not only is that a good user experience, but it's also good for Google. It understands that, hey, you actually help people with fire damage homes. Not only that, you have a city page that talks about buying the home, right? So this all makes sense. But now we're going to start looking at some of the things that you guys can be doing that JP did this past week and automatically started seeing some results. So the number one point, or the number one item that I'm going to put on top of everybody's list, if possible, is going to be this video. This video did great for this particular blog. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and click here. We're going to go to actually YouTube to watch this because I want to make sure. There was one little thing that was left out that I'm going to point out so you guys can make sure that you add it if you decide to go with video. So JP did great. He created the video about fire damage homes. He geotagged the video here on YouTube, and then he used the actual title of the blog for his title on his YouTube. That way everything's kind of in sync, right? And then the other thing is he created a nice description about the blog here, boom. And then the most important piece that was left out, but me and him were able to find it, we added it, and now he's taken advantage of that, which is this hyperlink. Make sure, guys, if you're gonna go through this entire process that you do not forget that hyperlink. The hyperlink is basically giving you a backlink from YouTube over to that particular city page or blog post. In this case, this was a good choice. This could have either gone to a city page or a blog post. I'm actually gonna point it out to JP right now. If you like JP, one thing you can add to this is the city page. I know this is currently linking to the blog post. Just add the city page to it right underneath it. And now you got both links. It's going to put two places on your website. Now, why is this important? Why did it go and do all this stuff? Well, now we're gonna start looking at some keywords and what this video did and what's going on. So one of the big questions was, all right, I wanna improve this blog post. I'm gonna go back to the blog post here. I want to improve this blog post. I know the video is huge, so he created the video. So the next step that I started kind of going down the track with him was, well, let's see if we can find more keyword opportunities that this blog, one blog can rank for many keywords, right? So, and it can be, and it has to sound natural. So one of the things that I coached JP through was, all right, we're going to do a quick, easy keyword research project. And basically what you're going to do is decide whether a keyword can fit as a title, meaning you can kind of scroll down and add more paragraphs with the title over it. So something within the content, or does the keyword fit just naturally within the body of the content? Maybe you can replace some of these words with some of these keywords that we find. And the third option is that it's better, the keyword that you find, it's better that you use it for a completely different topic. Okay, basically a completely different blog post. So in this case, what did we do to do our free, easy keyword project? We went to the title and we want to see what is popping up, what's going on, right? So we took this half, because this particular blog post, actually, it's almost like two keywords. So it has this who buys fire damage homes and then the selling your house after a fire. So we're going to take this first one and we're going to pop it into Google. Zero tools. We are not using any tools here in regards to like keyword research. We're just going off of what Google is giving us. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and put my cursor. I pretty much pasted it in there, put my cursor there, and it's going to give me these results. So the first thing you guys need to do is take every single one of these results, put it on a spreadsheet. Okay, so that's the first thing. Next thing you're going to do, you're going to scroll to the very bottom. You're going to take all these results here, related searches. You're going to put it on a spreadsheet. And what you're going to do, you're going to then look for duplicates and get rid of the duplicates. So you want to end up with a clean list. And there's one more place you guys want to look, and it's towards the middle of the page. Scroll up just a little bit right here. People also ask. These are great as well. Put it on your spreadsheet and find more opportunities. Sometimes these are actually better for additional blog posts, but you never know. That's why every search is different. So that's why I have everybody put these on a spreadsheet as well. And then you're going to clean that up. And what you're going to do with that list, you're literally going to go back to the blog post and do exactly what I just said. You're going to see if any of these fit naturally into the body of the content, number one. Do they fit maybe as its own little paragraph, right? As a title of one of these paragraphs and then add a little bit more content? Or do they fit as like a completely another topic for a blog post? So that's how you're going to kind of take your current piece of content, or maybe even a new piece of content you just created, like Sophia just created a piece of content that she's going to send in. Sophia, next week, your task can be that you do this process, and then you find more opportunities maybe for new content or to improve the one you just sent over, okay? So that's basically what we did. So now we want to see, we're going to take this keyword and we want to just see how the blog is doing, if anything, right? Because this is the first time we're actually going back and doing a little bit of optimization, and we will go ahead and hit go there. And I'm going to scroll through. And we're going to kind of look, and once again, it's only been a few days that this stuff has been through, and we see zero results on page 1, okay? So we're going to go ahead and move to page 2. You don't know, there is a page 2 on Google. So we're going to go to page 2 here. We're going to scroll down, and boom, this was what I wanted to show. He's appearing on page 2 because there is no video. Nobody else is creating video around this topic in this particular area. Google basically took that video and put it as a result because it saw it as a worthy piece of content to put up there. That video will continue to make its way up. If JP starts getting views on YouTube on this video, people start clicking it here on the organic results. Maybe he shares it on social media and people start clicking on it. That will start competing as a part of this keyword right here. The other thing, so that kind of what was huge, right? So the blog, just as the keyword sits there, the blog is not doing very well by itself because this is more of a national keyword, right? You don't have a location that you appended. So Google's doing its best as can to give people results based on where you're located. So just by putting this in, it's pinging my IP address, it's checking that I'm in Maryland, it's trying to figure out, you know, what's the best results for me to put up there. So it's just showing me a lot. So JP is actually competing with the rest of the nation pretty much on trying to win a spot. But check this out. If I append, let me see here, in Titusville, Florida. All right. So just by appending in Titusville, Florida, we're going to scroll down. Look at that. He's ranking number 2 for that particular keyword in the local, basically what he fully optimized for. And one more question that JP had for me that we didn't finish, that probably is going to be the next thing, and it's good that we share here, is basically, is it important to use, if we go back to the blog, to use Titusville, Florida in this case, right? That's the location within the content. And the answer is absolutely yes. So that's one of the things that's very important. This particular blog in 2020, when it was created, you know, it was probably a generalized blog, just trying to get something for fire damage homes within the archive of the blog. In this case, now that he's going back and optimizing, he doesn't necessarily want to fully change the title. You don't want to do that because this is already doing pretty good all around. What you want to do now that he's added, and just so you guys know, he actually geotagged the images, so everything's really nice and optimized. But now that he added a couple things about Titusville, Florida, telling Google the metadata, in other words, now he's free to add some of these titles, keyword specific titles within the content to start adding it and optimizing this particular piece of content for Titusville, Florida. Now, he can create something very similar for another location too. So keep that in mind. You might end up with multiple fire damage homes blogs, but you can't just copy and paste them. You're going to have to kind of find an angle to rewrite it a certain way and then use your very specific location. Because there is something called keyword cannibalization. That's a hard word to say. Keyword cannibalization, where if you don't put unique content and you start using that particular keyword, and for city pages, I found a way around all that. So that's why you get, a lot of you guys are doing very well. For blog posts, you got to find an angle, a different angle if you are going to do multiple for this particular topic. But it still works really well. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else here that we can, so we covered. So that's basically it. That's actually a lot already. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I want to kind of get some feedback from you guys, see if this is valuable and see if some of you guys already have ideas of what you want to do with your blogs, or maybe some questions around these tips. You guys can go ahead and unmute if you like it. We can go from there.
Roger, I have a question.
Sure.
And you kind of covered it, but I just wanted to see if I can understand what you're saying. So, obviously, as we're going into, well, for Anchored Homes, we're going into a new market in Florida, specifically Brevard County, and we have about 8 different city pages that we're trying to attack. My question is around, I just picked Titusville just because I hadn't had any content that was geotagged or written to Titusville. We did everything in Melbourne at this point. And and I know because my business is located in Melbourne, you told me that that would be a great place to concentrate on for a lot of it, but I wanted to try to get some other places in there, but I also wanted to leave it generic at the same time. So kind of pinging off what you were saying is like, now that the blog is there, we've done a little bit of optimization. I pinged a city page within the hyperlink. When I go to write a page, so when you do keyword research and you put like in a very specific location, obviously like that's going to be very hard to come by for results that you want to write. A lot of that stuff is very generalized. And so I feel like I'm taking forever to get to the point here. I guess it's because it's kind of hard for me to understand, because it's like, we buy houses in Melbourne, Florida, right? Or like we buy fire damage properties in Melbourne, Florida. Like to write a specific blog that has that in the title throughout the blog, I feel like is that more valuable than writing the generic and then kind of peppering, through the hyperlinks? Does that make sense? And this is kind of the question I still asked when I was talking to you. It's kind of confusing for me. Even to ask.
So if we were starting fresh, right, with no blogs, just nothing on your website at all, and we had exactly the cities we're in, because this is not the standard situation for a lot of you guys, because you grow and you go into other markets. But say you're starting fresh, you would actually segment, right? You'll have Titusville. We use Titusville as an example here. And then we create a handful of blogs around, fire damage, foreclosure, and all this, right? Same topics over here, but the content a little more unique for Melbourne and everything. In this case, we're going back for existing content, and we're picking. You're literally picked a fire damage home general topic, and we're re-optimizing it. And that's why I'm kind of not recommending that you change the H1 or the main title. I rather go into the body of the content and optimize that, just so it doesn't mess anything up. Now, for new content in the future, anything new that you create, absolutely use the keyword that has the city in it, because now we're kind of getting more specific, and you're actually kind of producing more consistent content. Because when a company, and for everybody here, when I see that a company is not producing consistent content, then I try to coach around staying general. So that way, if someone pops into your website, looks at the blog, it's good content that they can learn from, stuff like that. When there's an actual strategy for SEO, then we start getting very geo-specific, right? Location specific. So in JP's case, he's starting to produce more consistent content. Now it makes sense for us to start pushing and creating a strategy around blogs that are going to help boost one of his city pages, right? And we go after all the situations. Hopefully that makes sense, JP. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. I think that the simple answer is I just need to create more content now, and like the 3 different types of people that I'm going to concentrate on, just create content for them for each city page. It's just a little different on each one. So that makes sense. Thank you.
Nailed it. Yep. Anybody else have questions around that, optimizing blogs?
They always do after the fact.
Just trying to process all of that info.
Yeah, so Sophia, I haven't seen your blog yet, but that's what, if you were to literally rewatch that portion that I just did there, and look at your blog, read it, go through that process, even take the title keyword, right? Just pop it into Google and look for those keywords that I showed you how to find, put them on the spreadsheet. Even before you send it through, do that quick scan. And just by doing that one thing, you're going to be able to optimize it even further than what you've already done. So that might help out. And then obviously the video is another easy win, right? You don't have to, you can create it kind of like what JP did, is it's a slider video almost. So just kind of couple quick tips there.
Okay,
Actually, I had
so when
one-
you take all those
go ahead.
keywords, we're putting them in a blog, in a spreadsheet, and then it's going back and it's sprinkling those in the content or new blogs. I'm sorry, maybe I was.
Sure, three
Writing.
different options, 3 different scenarios, right? Say you follow the first couple steps and you end up, let's say we're at the step where you have it in the spreadsheet. We good at, and we have maybe we have 10, 15 keywords in there. So there's three situations that you need to go through. Number one, you need to make a decision if any of these keywords on this list might fit within your existing content, just in the body of the content, right? And read through the content. You can probably replace a word and put a keyword in there. You'll find a lot of those situations. Number 2 situation is, does this keyword maybe fit as its own little, it fits within the blog, but it fits as its own little section. So you use that keyword as the title for that next section, right? And then you got to come up with a paragraph or 2 under that title, right? To add to that blog. Now you just added fresh content and a little more value to the actual existing blog post. And then the third situation is that you decide that keyword just is not a good fit for this blog post, but it's a good keyword. So you use that to create a brand new blog. And obviously there's always going to be the fourth that's just junk stuff that you don't even want, you take off your list and you delete.
Any other questions?
How do you geotag an image again?
Do you remember when you did that training?
I'm gonna have to find the video because it's literally we have a Sophia, we have a step-by-step kind of, we did on one of the calls. So I'll find that because it is a couple steps. You go to a website and you kind of go through a process. So let me find that and send it over to you. So that way you can take your time as you geotag these images.
All right, thank you.
Actually, it's you're on right now. If you could either check that or maybe even ask Max real quick and ping us back here if you find it. Because I know there was Sophia, Roger did a pretty thorough, in-depth video training that you can literally just follow step by step to get that done.
Yes, me too, please, Roger.
Sure, let me look for it.
When we find it, we'll just post it in the Facebook group, unless it so happens to find it before we get off the call. So anybody else, any other questions on what Roger went over?
Not really so much a question, but I guess what I have trouble with is just how to be unique for all those different cities, which I think is where JP was going to. Like some of the information, if I'm talking within Maricopa County, but there's 6 different cities, there's not really any difference between those cities on how you file a divorce, let's say, or how I buy a fire damaged home in those 5 cities. Like it's really the same situation. So I guess it's more just about being creative to come at it from a different angle to really create unique blogs for each city page for that particular thing, you know?
I mean, there's an element of being unique, right? Because we don't want the duplicate content. Right? We're not going to just take the same blog and post it and change out city names. But at the same time, don't wrap your head so hard around being so freaking unique that it stumps you. Because at the end of the day, it's an SEO play. You're not writing this in expectation that somebody in all 6 of the areas of Maricopa County are going to read it. They're not reading all of them, right? This is the element of talking to the robot that we're doing here, not to the human. So there can be some similarities, and that's okay. Yes, we want to mix it up a little bit so that it's not literally a duplicated piece of content out there, which is going to hurt us.
Sean,
Yeah,
I think you gave some, oh, I'm sorry, Roger.
Oh, no, go ahead, JP.
I was just gonna say, I think he gave some really good examples right there at the beginning. You know, you could do like the 3 mistakes that people who have a fire do, and then you could talk about like these 3 quick tips for fire damage properties, and then like the myth around fire damage properties, or so, you know what I mean? Like you could use the examples that Sean gave, and it has like a different feel, and then you know maybe some of it's kind of the same, but just a different approach.
Yeah, you guys might, that's actually golden right there. I wish we had the thing because that was golden right there. That's exactly. Now you guys might be thinking, it's like, well, all this content, right? And I'm glad Sean kind of pointed out it's an SEO play. It's not necessarily, nope, you know, not a lot of people are going to go into your blog and be reading blog per blog. Some will, but that's not what we're trying. Most people are going to find that particular blog. So a lot of the questions that we get is a lot, you know, for local SEO, you know, you want to be found for, you know, fire damage homes near me or something like that. The near me seems, you know, it's a very, very important local keyword. And the reason you want all these variations of these blogs around a topic, right, and pointing to a certain city page is because the near me is based off of a person's like location, like me sitting right here. It will actually, and in most cases, I'm on my phone or my laptop here. It's going to scan my area. Google's going to scan my area of where I'm at. So if I have a blog that's talking about, you know, fire damage homes, you know, how to, you know, who buys fire damage homes in Silver Spring, Maryland, which is where I'm exactly at, it's going to see that I'm in Silver Spring, Maryland right now, and it's going to show me some results, some blog results written by companies that are in my area, because that's basically what it's looking for. And that's why having all these variations of these blogs and just finding, just like, I know it's a little daunting sometimes of why you need all this stuff, but that's basically what you're going after, because many of you guys are local businesses. That's what you are, right? So you want to have and dominate those local rankings. So yeah, I love the tip, both that Sean kind of started off with and JP explained there, because that's just another way to kind of, you know, be unique, but you're still talking about a certain topic.
And the same video is okay to use in those different ones?
Well, not necessarily. Once again, SEO kind of like strategy, because the whole point of those videos is to geotag them for a certain city and kind of have everything pointing to a certain city, right? Okay. So if you start looking at it, it's all geared towards one particular geolocation. Now, you might, Liz, you might also kind of ask the question, do I need to do all this for every single city I'm trying to, you know, go after? It's a lot of work and it's very tedious work. You guys might want to pick, right, your most important cities, and that's where you focus, because that's going to gain, not only is it going to move the needle for you guys in the rankings, but also as you get more traffic to the site, it affects the entire domain within the site. So those other city pages or blogs that you didn't really kind of pay too much attention to, they'll start kind of naturally ranking on their own as well, just because the overall website seems to have a lot of authority, right? So going after every single one, once again, everybody's going after different amounts of cities. So it just depends, right? Your bandwidth.
Okay, now my question is, for those videos though, can we be tricky and just change out keywords or city words?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Yep.
So I can use the same script and just swap out the city. So Liz, we can use the teleprompter app and just swap out the city name.
Absolutely. Once again, it's not, it's an SEO, right? We're talking strictly SEO. If you wanted to really, you could create those. And then if you wanted to kind of create something that's completely separate, that's general, as like maybe a course video or something, then do that. But these particular videos, I want to be very, very clear that these are strictly for SEO. So they can be, you know, a little lower quality, You just need a piece of media. That's a video on your blog post. It lives on YouTube and a link back. It's just to give it a little bit of power.
I'm not going to get into too much of it today, but Liz, Marie, we can go over it later this week when we talked. But the metadata of the actual MP4 file prior to loading to YouTube is also another place to help enhance it. It'll have to be another training, so I can actually have some stuff pulled up to show you guys what I'm talking about. But you actually want to change some of that metadata to the MP4 file prior to loading it to YouTube, as well as doing what Roger's talking about as far as geolocating and putting some of that metadata in the YouTube end of things. It's not a huge element, but again, it's that extra little checkbox that a lot of people overlook, right? What do I mean by that? I create a video on my phone and then I send it over to my desktop to then upload it to YouTube, and I do all the stuff that Roger's talking about in YouTube. But that file that went from my phone to my computer and then up into it, it has some data behind it. And YouTube sees that data. And when that data is changed and cleaned up and is inlined and has the same title and has some of the tags and has some description around it that matches everything else, right? It's just really helping kind of, again, remember, Google's a robot. All they do is scan something and classify it really quickly. And it'll give them that extra little piece that this is a little bit more enhanced than some other stuff. And therefore they're going to trust it more at the end of the day. So not something to worry about too much right now. I'd rather see you guys actually start taking action on it than get stumped by that. But that is something that I'll probably show, if not on a training call here, that will probably be something that we go over when we do our workshop, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit as well. So any other questions?
Yes. The near me, I just wanted to see about that's like a Google mechanic, right? Like you don't need to put that in your, like, because that was one of the very first things that came up was like, who buys fire damage properties near me? Like, I don't want to put that on my blog, right? Like the near me, that's just a mechanic thing of Google. Correct.
You'll see it, just so you guys don't get thrown off. You'll see it on people's blogs and some people trying to what's called game the algorithm. It used to work years ago better than it does now. It doesn't now. Google's AIs have gotten a lot better, so don't worry about adding that. It's more making sure you have content for a very specific geolocation. That should be kind of the big goal. Yeah, and the reason you do get that result, because you'll get it, right, JP? You saw it a lot when you put a keyword and then there's a lot of near me after it, because Google's giving the results of what people are putting into Google. So obviously, if I was, it doesn't matter where I'm at, if I'm looking for a local company, I'm looking for someone that can buy my fire damage home, I'm going to put, what companies around here buy fire damage homes near me? You know what I mean? I'll probably end up adding that just because it's so popular now. So Google takes that and starts looking, where are you at? What's near me? Where are you located? Pings my IP, starts scanning everything, and it'll take everything from Silver Spring, Maryland, right? And then just give me the best results from there.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, to wrap us up today, I'm going to throw it out to you guys. I think some of you guys saw the post, and I think even last week we might have chatted briefly about it, but we're pretty well kind of solidified that it's a for sure now. And that is the Top Results Consulting's first live in-person workshop. It's going to be a one-day workshop. If you guys want to write this date down, it is going to be live in person, but we also are going to be streaming that live in person via Zoom. So those that aren't going to be in the area or don't want to come in for it, you will be able to attend via Zoom. And that date is going to be Sunday, September 18th. Sunday, September 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be in Baltimore for that event. The physical location for anybody that wants to come into the Baltimore area and attend it in person, the physical location has not been solidified just yet. Roger and myself are working alongside Mickey and Aisa to try to help. They're helping us try to lock down a place. We might have something fun and exciting. We might actually do the event from one of their rehabs that is almost finished or will be like 99% done on it, which would be kind of cool to do. But those that are going to be in and around the Baltimore area or want to come into the Baltimore area, that weekend is also the weekend of the Think Realty convention. If you guys have never gone to a Think Realty convention, I highly, highly encourage you to go. They are great real estate events. I happen to know pretty much the entire head staff of Think Realty. This goes way back to when I was fighting a lot of landlord bills and regulations in the real estate space with some of these individuals. But if you're going to be in the Baltimore area, you want to attend the event, I can introduce you to a number of really key individuals involved on it. Plus, Think Realty is really good about getting you guys discounts at different things and giving you a lot of benefits with being part of it. So I know Roger and myself are going to be there. We're going to have a booth. I'm going to be hosting one of the panels about how to invest in real estate in markets that you don't live in. And I believe JP is going to be there as well with us, hanging out and attending on it, but on that Sunday. So the Think Realty event is on Saturday. On Sunday, Roger and myself, we're going to be putting together a workshop from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern time. It will be broadcasted via Zoom link, so you guys will be able to jump on it on Zoom. We will be recording it, and those that are registered to either be there in person or on the Zoom side will get a copy of that recording. But more importantly, it is a workshop style. It's not just, Roger and I are not just going to talk. We're gonna go over some key things and then take some action on it. So those that are there in person, you're going to get hands-on experience and work and help from Roger and I. Those that'll be on the Zoom side, we are going to probably have Itzel or some of our other team on the Zoom to help answer questions and facilitate things and take in any support needs on some stuff, and then just to overall kind of monitor the event for us. But Roger, anything you want to add to that before I open it up for any questions around it?
No, I think you pretty much nailed everything down. The only other thing for that Sunday event, I mean, we plan on doing some hands-on stuff. So that way, whoever's kind of attending, part of the plan is to make sure that we kind of dive deep into very specific situations. And since we have you in a room, we'll be able to kind of take action, basically implement some of these things that we'll be talking about as well. So super excited for that.
Absolutely. And I'm actually like 99% done with putting all the content together so that Roger can get the registration page built out. So be on the lookout for that coming out in probably the next handful of days. We're going to start getting the registration out for those that want to be there in person. There's going to be a selection on the registration form. Do you plan on attending virtually or do you plan on attending in person? Just select the one that's appropriate for you so that we can get a feel for those in person to figure out what size of the place we need to make sure that we've got the room for on it. But I'll open it up to anybody that's got any questions on that. I'm actually going to stop the recording.